giggle.
Okay, so we want to start, ideally, every time with a dry wheel, dry hands, dry ball. You'll see why that gets difficult at the end, okay? But I'll show you how to clean up so you can do it. So we want to start dry so that this sticks better to this. And we've got to use this like a target. Everyone should have a target in front of them. I think all the wheels have got the lines, so we should be fine. We've got to aim and fire for that centre bit. So we want to get it slammed onto there. We should all hear like tinks, splats, everything when it hits there. If it's slightly off, you see that one's not quite in the middle, just slide it slightly and just get it in there and then give it a good whack. You don't want to turn it into a full pancake, but you can hit it. So don't make it a pancake, but give it a good hit. It will be stuck then. So that's not going to go anywhere. So he's nicely on there. So we've got him stuck on. If he does go completely over here, then just lift him up and stick him back on again. I have splattered it well and truly off before. So once we've got him on and he's not going anywhere, that's when we're going to introduce water. So we want wet hands, wet ball now. Everyone's going to be soggy. And we're going to start by coning. So coning's a bit like giving the little ball of clay a bit of a hug, a bit of a hand hug. So the most important thing with all of this process, every bit, is to keep your arms connected to your body. I shouldn't see any elbows out here. The habit is to get your elbow up here, don't get it in. So tuck yourself in, get your hands, and then you want to just ramp it up ideally to full speed. It will be a bit scary to start with if you haven't done it a lot, but just get it to go full speed, and then just take your hands. So we're just going to take it and we're just going to cup, just squeeze gently. So that's the start, we just come in and squeeze it. And my hands and everything are connected to me, so I don't have to do too much stuff, it's not too bad. No like fighting. And then if I squeeze it more and then roll upwards, so I'm just stroking it up, it'll go up into a little cone. So we're looking for cone shapes if we can make them. So we'll go up, it's a bit of a fun one. So we're looking for a little tall towery cone. Once we've got it up, we have to take it back down again. And your automatic reaction would be to push it straight on the top. But don't, because A, it goes wobbly, and B, you end up with these like mushrooms. Hang on, I'll see if I can make a mushroom.
Yeah, seen those. Yeah.
Mushroom. So we want to avoid our mushrooms. So to stop that happening, we don't want to push down, we actually want to push away. So we're actually going to take it and we're going to lean it away from ourselves. Rather, so I'm pushing that like in that way. I'll try and do it with my hands closed or open. So, there we go. So we're pushing away. Otherwise we get the mushroom. So I'll bring it back up again. I'll try and do it. I'll try and do it like that with one hand. You should see it this side. Can you see it as well? So I'm not going to push down. I'm going to push away. Ooh, sorry. It's hard to do it with one hand.
Yeah, one hand is not easy.
But it's just a lean away. So the two hands is helpful because you can keep your other hand in check and keep the clay in check. But once we've done that at least once, so we've got it at least once up and down, it should be relatively in the middle anyway because the coning helps you centre. But we need to get it right in the middle because he's still got a little bit of water on him. So to get him right in the middle, you see the wheel stays the consistent full speed the whole time I'm doing this. I'm going to take this hand and again I'm going to go right into my body. So I want it in here. I don't want any elbows, right in here. And I'm going to take this bit of my hand, this nice chunky hard bit here, not this piece, I'll show you the difference in a minute, this bit. And I want this to be as close to the centre here, pushing away this direction. So I can lean in, so I don't have to use any muscles. I can literally just use my body weight against it. The other hand is going to take hold of your thumb. So this one's pushing here, this one is going to push down, and it pushes down on this bit. So you'll see where the clay is when I do it. So if I come off, you see, so I'm pushing here and here. So that's where it all rests. I'm not putting a lot of pressure, it's literally just about staying still, which is why it's really helpful to use your body, not your muscles, because you're bigger than it. Even if I was throwing 5-10 kilos, I'm still bigger than it. So I can use my body weight against it rather than having to use any real muscles. The most important thing with this is just to stay still. So we just stay still, keep adding water so it's nice and smooth. Then when you're happy that it's centered, don't come off really quick, release really gently. we'll quickly show you the difference between that bit of your hand and that bit, and then I'll centre it again. So if I were to try to do it with that bit,
Oh, wow.
I'm a mushroom again. Mushrooms are bad. We don't like mushrooms. So we want to avoid those, which is why we use that bit. And I'm leaning, so this isn't dead straight or leaning out, this is leaning almost in. So it's just slightly in, and then that one's just on the top, in there. And I can go in. So if I were doing this, and I went, whoop,
Yeah.
I'm off straight away. That's why we have to make sure that we go release. Calm movements.
Like a sleeping child.
Yeah, very, very gently. So everything nice and smooth. We're aiming for a little hockey puck type thing, roughly. So depending on what you're making will depend on the size of the hockey puck that you want. So in this case, if I'm thinking I want to make a nice little mug, this is about the width of a mug really for me. The base is about right. If I were making a small plate, this hockey puck would have to be much bigger. So whatever your base is going to become on the inside, this hockey puck needs to start at.
Okay.
So you can't go further.
Yeah. Okay.
So whatever it is on the inside, the hockey puck has to be now.
Right.
So you can't start with this and then turn that into a plate. It's just gonna flop and die. So we want to make sure that we have it like that.
Okay.
So we've got it like that, and he's all in the middle. He's quite happy. So then once we've got him like this, we have to find its very centre, which we can kind of see anyway. You see it's got a little knobble there, so I can kind of tell where it is. But to be certain, I'm going to put my hand on the side of the wheel and touch it. I'm still connected, everything's connected, wheel, everything's touching. And then I'm just going to rest my thumb on the top there. Very light pressure, and then that will show me exactly where the centre is. So really gentle. And then I'll usually fill it up with water, that little divot, because I know exactly where it is. And at that point I can push down. So I'll do it with my thumb to start. So you can push down with your thumb if you want to. So that's option one. So you can go down. I tend to find with my thumb with smaller pieces it's easier because my thumb doesn't really want to extend all the way down. So if I've got my hand on the wheel and I put my thumb down, I know I'm not going to go all the way through to the wheel head, so I know I've always got a base. So I can do it pretty easily, just going, whew, I know it's done, because it would hurt me to keep going. When you're doing it with your fingers, it's ever so slightly different, because you can obviously go right to the bottom. So with that one, we go back into our centering sort of position. So we were like this before, but we're going to pop our fingers out. So everything is still connected in my body, on the wheel. My fingers are still connected here, so they're not hovering in the air. And I can put my fingers in now and then go down as far as I think I need to go. The trick is knowing how far you need to go, because you will sometimes go all the way through. So we're going to check it with the needle tool. So stop it, don't try and do this when it's spinning, it'll go everywhere. And then just stab it until you hear it hit the metal, and run your finger down until you hit the pot. And then when you lift it out together, you'll see how much you've got left in the bottom. You want about 1 centimetre, roughly. So ideally you'll have 1 centimetre in there. And once you're sure that you've done that bit, so you've definitely got a little hole that's in the right shape, obviously that's not a very wide mug. So we want to make it bigger. So we want to take this outwards. So we've got that in there. This one you can again do with your thumb or your fingers, whichever one you prefer. So you can go in with your thumb and you want to slide sideways. There's no downward pressure and there's no pinching. So it's just me going like this, not like this. There's no pinching involved, just in and slide. If I'm doing it with my fingers, it's the exact same thing. So I can put my fingers in and then I can just slide, but there's no pinching involved. It's just sliding. And I can't make this bottom bit, which is what we were saying before, any wider than my original hockey puck. So that base is as wide as it can go, because that's as wide as my original hockey puck. If I did go wider, that's going to cause a real thin spot down here, because it's going to fall off. And then this whole top edge will just come away. So we only want to go that wide. Once we've got it to this point, we can just compress our base. So you can use your finger. I just go back and forth and just give it a good squash. This avoids the cracks that you sometimes get. So so you don't get too many cracks in it. And then you want to take your sponge and do the same again. So just give it a squash with your sponge. You shouldn't really be putting any real pressure on it, because obviously then you'll get an even thinner base. So it's just about giving it a little squash, little stroke, a couple of times, just make sure you're happy that it's compressed. You'll notice the difference between compressed and not compressed. I'll show you the difference. So I'm going to do it with that finger. If I do that one, there's like basically nothing on there. If I do, that one's clean. The side where it's not compressed. So that's not compressed because it's all clayey, and that's all toot. Whereas this one's nice and clean. So that's how we know it's nicely compressed, because it's nice and tidy. If you do end up with a little, sometimes you get frilly like this, you can just squash him back down. So I'll just give him a little squish. I always support the sides while I'm doing it, but I'll just give it a little squish. There we go. So he is now at the point where he can come upwards, because he's a lovely dish, and we can leave him like this if we want.
We've got several of those already. That's where we stop.
If we would like him to be a nice little dish like that, he can. If you've also found that your pot's gone a bit like this already, we're aiming not to do that, but if he has, don't panic. We're just going to do that hug again. So do you remember when we were coning at the very, very start, we went in with both hands? Just give him a little hug again, and he'll just go back in. So ideally for throwing up, so to get the height, we want this quite straight. It's just easier. If he's out sideways, it's a bit trickier. So when we want to go up, everything is nice and soggy. Just run the sponge up all of your sides to make sure everything is wet before you start. The base here is where we want to start, right at this wheel. So you want to be touching the wheel. I like to make sure that I've got no skirt down there, so no sticky outy clay at the bottom. Pardon me, sorry. So I'll make a little dent there, and that tells me what I've then got to pull up. So you see the little ridge, that's now going to travel up the pot. So this is where I found that people are doing it a little bit differently earlier on. So your finger placement for getting it to go high in comparison to making it go out. So if you want it to go up, we need to be lifting it. And we don't want to lift it from this end, because then it goes off to the side. So on the outside, this is on the low end. So this is on the wheel. This is right at the bottom. On the inside, we've already got about 1 centimetre. So it's going to be about 1 centimetre higher. But we want that to be the case. So this one on the inside is higher than the one on the outside as you go round. And I've dropped the wheel speed way down. And what we're aiming to do is push out, and then the outside finger will push back in again. And that's how we squeeze all the way up. And we just go squeezy, squeezy, squeezy all the way up. So if you're doing it with your fingertips, that's kind of how you do it. And then again, if it started to splay out, give it a little hug. And it will go back in again. When we get bigger, or if fingertips are a bit tricky because they get a bit flexy, sometimes it's a little bit too much, I like to use my first knuckle, or if you've got nails, first knuckle's a good shout. So first knuckle on the outside there. It also, but I used to grate my nails on the wheel head all the time, and then I'd have no nail left. So I've started doing it with my knuckle instead. So that goes on the outside. It's the same situation. So if I do this first, I've done it quite dramatically, but you can see, so that's pushing in, and then that's pushing out. So that's where I'm pushing out above. So my bottom one pushes in, my top one pushes out. And then I just go up. So it'll stick out at the top, and then the bottom one will follow it. And I'll go up, up, up. And I'm nice and slow and steady. And then when I get to the very top, I just have to release the pressure really gently. Got a little bubble in there, but it doesn't matter. Sneaky little bubble. That's all right. So we just go up and up and up wherever we want to be. And if we want to change it and get it back in again, we can. So you can go up like that. And then we want to focus on getting the clay from the bottom, because that's where it hides. So we just want to make sure we put more pressure on the bottom and then light on that middle section. And then it may be that the top just needs a little bit more. So you can just give it a little squeeze. I just do it from the back, which is naughty, I shouldn't. Just give the top a little squeeze there, just to get the top up. That bubble's really annoying me. Right. Not be able to pop in. Pop. So once we've done that, we've got a nice little straight-sided one. We can make it straighter if we want to, so we can use our ribs and tools to do it. So this is a rib, for anyone that doesn't know already. This one's got a lovely right angle. So if I want to throw something completely straight, I'll usually come in and take that skirt off the bottom first, because that's going to catch on this otherwise. So we'll take the little skirt off, and then that can come in. And then this sits here, and I can just stroke the inside. No real pressure, just a gentle stroke all the way up. Nice and slow and steady. And then that will just clean up all of those sides. Just try and keep it round. So we can go round, all the way around like that. And then if we did want to do something else with it, so we didn't want it to be round, not straight, sorry, we want it to be round. We just need to make sure we're wet again, because obviously the tool will have taken everything off. And then we can just use our hands to push it. So rather than using the tool, I'm using my hand in the exact same way. So I can belly my bottom bit out there, following the curve of my hand. So it just goes round and gives it a nice little wide bit at the bottom. If you want it to be wide, it's totally up to you. And then if I want to take the top in, I just have to give it a real gentle squeeze. So we just give them a little squeezy, and then you can flare them out and do all sorts with them if you want to. So they don't have to stay straight, they can be lots of fun, lots of different things. So that's how we do sort of a mug shape, a straight-sided one, or like this has turned into a little vase now, anything like that. And you can keep fiddling with it until you're happy with the shape. Keep finessing it. So that's how we do that one. I will do you a quick demo if we were doing something else. That one. Slicing. So, whoops. You can see the flat at the bottom here is 1 centimetre, and it's consistent all the way through. That helps with it drying, so it's not going to crack because it's nice and consistent. Then my walls are fairly consistent all the way up. If I straighten that, you can see that it's about the same width all the way up. There's no lumpy bumpies at all. It's just nice and flat all the way up. That's what we're aiming to do. Whether we will or not, who knows, but we'll try. So that's if we want to do a straight-sided sort of one where we're going up. If we want to do similar thing but slightly different, so we'll do the same again, cone them up, we splats, and then we press them back down, and then we centre them again. And release. So find the middle. You're certain that's the centre, push down. I'll open him up in one movement, you don't have to. It's just because I know that my thumb doesn't go down. It goes down to 1 centimetre at the bottom. I know automatically that my thumb
If you
does.
find you've gone too low, do you just have to start again?
At that point, if you've gone too low, clean all of the water out from the inside and go back to your hockey puck. So cone him, up, down, hockey puck again. Just make sure that there's no water in this centre, because otherwise it'll be stuck in the middle. So then when you go to stick your finger in again, it'll go all the way through to the bottom again, which is really annoying. So we're just going to open him back out at the bottom there, give him a little squash, 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 squash. And you can make cool little patterns in the bottom if you want to. Get a little spiral on the go. It's a bit of fun, a little spiral in there. And then we want to do the outside again, but this time I do it slightly differently. So with a pinch up to get it tall, like we were talking about there, we had the finger under and then this one over. If you were to do it the other way round, which is what we were discovering earlier, where they're that way, then all of a sudden this automatically becomes a bowl. And there's nothing you can really do about it, that's just what it does. Which is fine, you can throw a bowl straight away. So if you want it to be a bowl shape, we do the exact same, but the fingers are the opposite way around. And then it will just come out into a bowl straight away, rather than going up. So we won't get height, but we will get bowls. So we can go out and create a little bowl and then give them a little key. If for some reason, it does happen quite a lot, we end up with a little nick in it. So, I mean, there's one sort of there anyway. We've got a little bump in him. So we've knocked him, done whatever. It's not the end of the world, we can still save him. So we just have to get him a little bit straighter again, so we'll just give him a little stroke, and then we're going to whip the top off. You don't have to do this yourself. I can come and help you do it if you want me to. So we get it all wet, so our finger's running, and then we take this needle, and we're just going to gently run it until it goes all the way through and touches our fingers, and then we can whip that bit off. And then that removes that lumpy bumpy. It's really helpful if you haven't centered quite right and it's gone like higher on one side, lower on the other. You can still fix it and have a perfectly straight bowl or cup. The only reason I would say you want to be chopping it is because when you come to turn, if you've got a lumpy bumpy or it's higher on one side, lower on the other, you'll try and turn it, but it's going to be on the slant. So I would recommend, if you're doing this and you've got a wonky bowl, just slice it. Get me to slice it, because then when you come to turn it, you'll be able to do it. And we want to finish it nicely, so we just wipe it all off. Get them all nice and tidy. I like to try to make it so that the edge isn't so square. So I'll just like gently run my finger up to try to give it a nice lip on that bit. And then if we have still got a chunky bum down here where we haven't quite grabbed all of our clay right at the bottom, we do have turny tools that look like these. So they're like little pointy bits, depending on which one you fancy. They all do different shapes, obviously. So if we've got a skirt, again, connecting myself to the wheel and everything, I'll just come in and I'll take that skirt off. So we'll just chop it off. As soon as that tool is full, so I'll show you again. As soon as that is full there, so that has reached my handle, I'm taking that away. And I'm only doing little bits at a time. Sorry for the noise. The reason I do that is because if it gets to the point that it's here, it has a habit of curling back round and sticking back on the pot. And then it's like, so we want to make sure that we just empty it whenever it gets to that point. And then you can give it a nice foot ahead of having to turn it. So again, it gives you the opportunity to get it nice and straight before you get to the point that you're turning. Once we've got that on there, we're going to get it off. Is everyone confident getting things off of the wheel?
No.
So we want to make sure the wheel is nice and wet, but the bowl or cup or whatever we've made is nice and dry. Don't put water back in it. It does tend to happen sometimes. If it does, don't worry, just get the sponge, wipe it back out, go again. As soon as you spin the wheel, all the water will fly off, so you'll have to put it back on again, but it's fine. Just make sure that the bowl's not wet, or cup or whatever we've got. So once we've got it there, and all the wheel's wet, we've got the wires. Oops. These do have a mind of their own, as you just saw, so make sure we keep them over here. And when you pick them up from behind a wheel, go around, don't go across the top. This one's actually not too bad. He's not got quite as much of a life of his own. Some of them are a bit wild. So watch out for them. And then we want to take it, wrap it round our hand so it's about the size of the pot that we've got. Pull it tight to the side, thumbs on top, push down. So it's pulled tight this way, push down. So everything's really tight. And then we pull through. So pull through. You want to do it sort of 2 or 3 times. If it starts taking a walk, that's actually ideal because it's now loose. Just do a little shimmy backwards and it will come back out again. If you get stuck, let me know and I'll just push it while you're pulling your wire out otherwise. So now it should be free to roll around on this water on the wheel. So I can slide it about, which is great. So all we want to do is slide it off onto our hands. So we can slide it, scoop, and then pop it onto a board. I will show you the other one just real quick actually. So if he's on there and he's free, I've got him loose. Where did my purple towel go? Did it escape?
Towel.
We got a towel?
No, it's not.
It doesn't matter which towel, to be honest. Any towel's fine. I must have just lost it somewhere. Thank you. So my bowl's relatively dry. I've cut it through. It's floating. My hands are now dry, which means I can actually just cup it and lift it. So you should be able to touch it without too much hassle. It's still really flimsy, obviously, but I can now touch it without having sloppy hands all over it and then just pop it back down. So that's a little bowl, and we have the little cup that I cut in half. But if you remember at the beginning, I said we need to start with dry hands, dry wheel, dry ball. As you can see, I've got an issue now.
That's all right.
So we want to clean this guy off. So to clean it, we just use the wheel itself. It'll just do all the work for you. Just give it a wipe with a sponge. And then if we've got a lump of clay in the middle, sometimes that can be a bit sloppy. So I usually just take the rib and just go off with that. And then the wheel is ready. You don't have to clean the backs of your hands, that makes no difference. So don't worry about that, but do give your fronts of your hands just a little bit of a wipe before you start. So just get that bit off and give your hands a little wipe on there. Then you've got your dry bit, your ball, and you can splat and you're off again. Okay? Do you think you can remember all of those bits?
It's amazing.
We did it a couple of times, so hopefully it will stick. But we will go through it. Do you guys want to do it where you guys just go for it? Or do you
Yeah,
want to go
let's do
through it step by step all together as a team?
Go for it, then we get it on and do it again. Yeah.
It's funnier if you just go for it.
Yeah.
There we go. Let's go for it.